we're going to talk about Dan Didio, yes, former executive publisher from DC Comics. We actually got the first words he said about his tenure at DC since this all happened. We want to touch upon that a little bit with you guys. We have a huge quote here, but instead of boring you to death and reading the whole thing, I'm going to quickly summarize what it is. It's pretty much his regret. He was doing a Drink and Draw Social Club live stream, with other comic creators and drawing and just socializing. Yeah, Joe Cassano was there, Dan Cassano, Dave Johnson, a bunch of other people. And he talks about one of his biggest regrets at his 20-year tenure at DC. And it was that he didn't spend enough time on the New 52 the second year. So the first year they spent all this time how to relaunch and how to start. And then the second year happened and they didn't put enough attention to it. They just kind of let things slide. Things were happening so fast and moving, they couldn't even catch up. And by the time Rebirth came along, they kind of tried to course corrected what they wanted to do back in New 52, but they didn't have time to, they didn't focus on. So for me as a comic book fan, it's always nice to hear that somebody in the executive field or creator realizes what they could have done better to change the whole comic book landscape. To know that he does have regret, he wasn't exactly proud of everything, shows me that he is human and he does really care about. Shows me that he is human and he's not a part of Westworld. Well, that. But oftentimes you think of executives and the robots, they just care about the monetary dollar. But to hear this about a big name at DC Comics, right, it shows me, he really did care about these characters. He had this regret for years now. I mean, New 52 was almost so long ago, right? Yeah. And you look back at his tenure, that's one thing I wish I could have changed. Showed me that he loved these characters, and that's always good to hear that somebody in that world who had that much power did have care and concern about that. So I wanted to talk to you about this because, the New 52 is when we both started, me and you, getting back into comics as hard as we do now. Okay? So how does hearing this affect you?
It's bittersweet. I relate the New 52 to me as well as you getting back into comic books. I read them obviously a lot longer than Rob did. Rob got kind of into them later on, but the New 52 came out at kind of the perfect time. We were freshmen, sophomores in college. Me having reading, and I stopped because of financial issues in high school and then college, and then college got a job on campus, and I moved out into my own place, so money was tight, but I was able to buy a couple comics here and there. So New 52 really brought me back into DC, and I'm the DC fan first. So, and also started kind of me and Rob's friendship at the rec center.
I like how you go like this as we butt heads. I like this.
Literally, we would come in and just slam our heads against each other.
Batman.
We would come in, and Rob will never admit this, but he used to be a Superman fan, and then became a race trader into the Batman kingdom because everyone else likes Batman.
That is false.
So became a front runner. Rob and I could have been really close, but we were really close to the ending because of Superman, and then he was like, I think I like Batman better, and I was like, So
made the smart choice.
But Rob and I would have discussions for hours about superheroes and comic storylines, and I would, because I was already into it, I would be telling Rob old stuff, and but Rob knew the cartoon series that we both grew up. So we would talk about the shows, and I'd be like, well, be like this, here's this book kind of thing. So we were kind of, talking about this stuff all the time. So when the New 52 came out, it was a big jumping on point for anyone who wanted to get back in, but also, younger kids and people who know these characters. So the New 52 holds a special place in my heart because it's the kind of the rebirth of not only the DC universe, but it was the rebirth of my love for comic books. But hearing this news, bittersweet, because I know they pushed really hard that first year because they had to, right? You're relaunching the whole line, you're relaunching every book DC has, and you had a couple smash hits, right? Snyder Capullo, Batman, all you need. Justice League, Jeff Johns, Jim Lee, big hit. Francis Manapul's Flash was pretty good. Rob Vendetti's Green Lantern was pretty good. Everything else was really bad.
I was so excited. Remember Static Shock had its own book, and I was like, yes, let's go. Right. I was so hyped. And they cut it after like 6 issues, and I was like, I'm very disappointed.
Teen Titans had a brand new look. They had Red Hood and the Outlaws, who I think was the first time they made a team.
Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't as good as it is now.
No, it wasn't as good. But also Wonder Woman, Brian Azzarello, Cliff Chang is probably the best Wonder Woman of all time. We have every issue of that too. But so New 52 had some of its like really bright spots. Everything else was really bad. Superman was terrible.
Yep.
And obviously as a Superman fan, I was picking it up regardless, right? Like if you're a huge fan of a character, you're gonna pick up the book if it's good or bad. So I'm getting Action Comics and Superman at the point, and I'm like, this is not the Superman I remember. Where is Dan Jurgens? Where is John Bagnanovy? Where is Mike Carlin?
I wasn't reading it. I didn't pick it up.
It was so, and I told you not to. I was like, it's terrible. Don't get it. Detective wasn't even good. It was a weird
area was weird, if I remember.
Yeah, it was a weird time where they were like, okay, this is new. We have to focus on the really good stuff. So Snyder and Capullo like top of the chart, right? Like that Batman run is legendary still to this day.
So to get you back on track.
Yeah.
Right, so what's the bitter part?
Sorry. Bitter of it is the second year when you should have been focused on those bad books, right? Like, we talked about all these good books with these teams. You had most of it kind of like an iceberg effect, right? Your best books are at the top, the 10% that you can see above water. Everything else that was bad should have been focused on getting those books better or getting the right teams on them, right? Kind of like what they did with Rebirth, where
try to push up.
They had really good teams. So that kind of sucks. I mean, I know Dan's a fan, right? He's a big fan. He loves these characters. It might have just been he put too much on himself in this relaunch and then had to do it again with Rebirth. But it was interesting to hear him talk to Joe Cassano, who obviously basically runs Marvel. And not only talking, to the competition, but talking, blatantly as just a person saying like, hey, I didn't focus hard enough because, it's tough to be a boss sometimes, right? Like, how much do you micro? How much do you macro?
Yeah.
How much are you going to be on people about writing certain things? And something that may sound good to you might not be good for a bunch of people. So I think it's kind of bittersweet. It's also, it's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? New 52 has really no residual effects anymore on DC.
No.
I don't think Rebirth really does either.
No.
It's kind of, all the storylines are kind of taking its own form. So, I mean, it sucks, and I think hopefully when comics eventually get back, they can right the ship.
Yeah.
But it is obviously interesting to hear what Dan had to say, and hopefully it allows DC not to make the same mistakes in the future when it comes to story.
So, guys, we want to know down in the comments below, of course, you know what I'm going to ask you. What do you think of Dan Didio's comments? What do you think of the New 52, the first year versus the second year? Did you see a noticeable difference? Were you collecting comics back then? If you're not, let me know what you think about former executive's words about a company he used to work into. We're dying to hear what you have to say.